Chapter 20: Travel, Aging, and Religion. Air El Halavi will swim for Israel in the London Paralympics. She was one of only 3 women athletes selected to swim. What an honor! Diana and I will fly to London to cheer her on. An exciting 2012 year. After a fairly routine fall and winter at Riderwood, Diana and I traveled to London for the London 2012 Paralympics. It was an exciting time for the Israeli family and us as we witnessed Air El Halavi, our niece, compete representing the State of Israel. It was a wonderful, uplifting several days as thousands of people attended the Olympic events. The opening ceremonies were amazing and concluded with a fantastic fireworks display. The English people were magnificent and very hospitable and helpful. Signs were prevalent everywhere directing visitors to the Olympic venue, and huge symbols of the Paralympics hung from London Bridge and lampposts throughout London. We stayed at a Best Western hotel conveniently located near Victoria Station, from which we took the underground to our destinations. Meir, Nava, and the Halevi family also stayed at the same hotel. We arrived back at Riderwood after our 12-day stay in England and barely had time to unpack before getting ready for a national parks tour. I've always loved the outdoors and had a desire to visit our national parks. My desire to do so was satisfied when Diana and I toured the following parks and natural venues: Bryce Canyon, Zion, Lake Mead, Great Salt Lake, Grand Canyon's North Rim, Yellowstone, Cody, Wyoming, the Grand Tetons, vast Indian territories and reservations, Grand Coulee Dam, Crazy Horse, and Mount Rushmore. Each one was spectacular in its own right and extremely impressive and educational. Earlier, before our London adventure in the spring of the year, Diana and I flew to Salt Lake to celebrate Passover at my niece Suzanne's home. She, Matt, and the 2 girls, I called them Munchkins, as well as Matt's parents, Mickey and Sharon, Jimmy and Vicky, Rachel and Henry, and Peter, Karen, and Oji attended. We all had a marvelous time. I conducted the Seder service, and everyone participated and enjoyed the sumptuous meal prepared by Suzanne. We spent most of the summer at our Ogunquit condo, with frequent visits with Mick and Sharon and day trips to Jerry and Susan's lake cottage. We had several visitors, including the California Winers, the California Chethics, the New Jersey Herzogs, the Washington, D.C. Winers, the Armonk Cohens, both granddaughters also. A few weeks after their visit with us, Irv Herzog passed away. He had been in failing health for some time, but enjoyed his visit with us. He was a caring, kind-hearted person. Jerry, Susan, Diana, and I drove down to New Jersey for his funeral service and back the same day. Jerry did all the driving, but it was a long, tiring, emotional day for us all. One of the highlights of the summer was the day we spent with Moosh at Old Orchard Beach. It was delightful watching her have fun riding the bumper cars and screaming together as we rode the roller coaster. It was an altogether grandparents-granddaughter, lovely, fun-filled day. We celebrated the end of 2012 and rang in the new year of 2013 with Peter and his family in Los Angeles. I always enjoyed spending time with my youngest son and granddaughter, Olivia. We went to Chinatown and had delicious Chinese food. It was a nice visit. The year 2013. The first quarter of the year was a keen reminder of my mortality as I approached the age of 80 years. George Fleming, Vicky's father, passed away after a heroic 2+ year battle with colon cancer and heart disease. He was a wonderful man and died peacefully in his sleep. I received additional bad news when I learned that my cousin, Mark Cohen, has cancer, which had spread to his lungs. He is currently undergoing chemotherapy after weeks of radiation. He has difficulty walking and can no longer negotiate stairs. The prognosis is not optimistic. Diana is exhibiting some aches in her hands and legs, and I have rather strong pains in my back, which I seem to be able to mitigate by taking long walks. Such are the joys of aging. We are enjoying another summer in Ogunquit. Sam Levy and his wife Linda visited, and we, especially Diana and Sam, reminisced about the Guerin family. It was a nice visit and enjoyed by all of us. Diana and I flew back to Portland for a quick overnight visit to attend the memorial service for George Fleming. It was a very well-attended and moving event. Vicky and her sister Wanda did most of the planning for it. We stayed overnight with Rachel and Henry, and Jim and Vicky joined us for supper before Rachel drove us to the airport for our flight back to Portland and Ogunquit. Meanwhile, Peter and Karen are getting a divorce after 15 years of marriage. Peter is in constant contact with us, and Mom and I are doing all we can to support him and reduce his stress. They are in the middle of selling their house, and both Karen and Peter will have to find new and separate lodgings. OG will probably go with Peter and have frequent visitations with Karen. As I approach celebrating 8 decades on this planet, I thought it might be useful if I set down my thoughts on religion and end-of-life philosophy. Firstly, as to religion, while I am a lifelong Jew and have practiced my religion by attending some services and participating in several traditional ceremonies such as Purim, high holidays, and having led several Passover services both in my home and at Riderwood, I would not consider myself a religious person. I deeply believe in sustaining the traditional aspects of Judaism, but am ambivalent regarding the existence of a supreme being. I must admit, I vacillate somewhat in this area. I do not believe in the traditional hereafter, but reserve judgment on the existence of another dimension which conceivably could be attained after death. My logical self tends to believe that death is a final fact and nothing follows. Everything we observe in nature tends to support this conclusion. Animals die, their offspring carry on. Plants die, their seeds grow into new plants. People die, their offspring live on. I have no fear of death and am eternally grateful for the full and wonderful life I've been blessed to have. My biggest concern as I age is that I not become a burden to my wife Diana, if she survives me, and or my children. To this end, I've endeavored to keep all concerned parties aware of the details of my finances, will, location of important papers, and both personal and real property. But enough of this. As I write this segment of my biography, it is June 13th in the year 2013. I'm looking forward to a wonderful summer as I sit at my computer, authoring this in our condo in Ogunquit, Maine. Early on the morning of June 24th, we received a call from Vicky advising us that Jimmy had an accident while riding his bike to work and was in the hospital. He was pretty banged up, but fortunately was wearing a helmet, and this enabled him to avoid severe head trauma. We were kept advised as to his condition throughout the day and got to speak with him later in the afternoon. He was retained overnight at the hospital for observation and was released to go home the next morning, June 25th. The weather was true to Maine June weather, as most mornings found the ocean barely visible as the fog rolled in and obscured everything in its path. When the tide is out and the sun peeks through the clouds, usually in the mid to late afternoon, Diana and I take walks on the beach. It is very peaceful to hear the roaring tide and listen to the gulls calling one another as they discover clams, sand crabs, or, at best, vacationers' scraps of food. Early in August, the entire family rented a beautiful log home in Bar Harbor. Rachel, Henry, Jim, Vicky, Moosh, Peter, OG, Diana, and I, along with Moosh's friend Daria, moved into the log home. It was set in the woodsy area, 4 miles from the town of Bar Harbor, and had a view of Mount Cadillac. The home consisted of 5 bedrooms and 3 full baths. It also had a pool table and a foosball game, which were used extensively by the kids as well as the adults. While Jim and the girls went biking and Rachel and Henry went hiking, Diana and I spent our time sightseeing. This included ascending to the summit of Mount Cadillac for a magnificent view of the Ocean Bay and its many islands, a hike near Eagle Lake, and a carriage ride on Rockefeller's roads. To celebrate my 81st birthday, we all went out to eat at a harborside seafood restaurant in Bar Harbor, and then had dessert back in the log home, which the family had decorated and prepared a table loaded with gifts for me. It was a most memorable occasion.